Good morning, Happy New Year, and welcome back to MSU Northern for the spring semester 2022. This is Business Finance, BFin 322. Um, I am showing the little camcorder, video core, whatever you call that down there, of myself. I typically will not do that. I don't think you guys really want to or need to look at my ugly mug, but I thought for purposes of introduction I would put that on there. Um, this class is online for this semester. You'll see that I have things pretty well set up on Brightspace. If I refer to it as D2L sometimes, I apologize. That was kind of the original name of it before it became Brightspace. And I probably, as you go through, if you were looking at it now, if you looked down 3 or 4 weeks from now, the dates are probably inaccurate. Those will need to be updated as I go along. So if you find those types of errors that I've made, please let me know, number one. Number two, don't get too excited or worried about it, especially early in the semester. I find that I often fail to click a correct button or set a correct date or something, and then I get panicked emails from students saying, oh my God, I didn't realize that this was due so early, and it's probably my fault. So, send me an email and say, I didn't realize it, and would I please change that? And especially early in the semester, I'm willing to do that. Now, chronic failure on your part, or on the student's part as the semester goes on, is not going to be, accepted maybe after midterm, say. So business finance, again, here it is on Brightspace. If you go, you'll see we do have a welcome page. I've got a little stuff on there. Calendar, we've got some things set up over here. We'll talk about a couple of those, and as the semester is going to go on, we'll kind of look at the schedule briefly, anyhow, to give you an idea of how we're going to progress. So most everything's going to be under the content section, although you can find quizzes under here. I don't think I have a lot of the due dates set on quizzes and whatnot yet, so I've got to make sure I do that. Progress is where you'll find your grades, as time goes along. I don't like the grade program in Brightspace. I do use it, but I don't like it. I find that I kind of have to make one of two choices. One of those choices is to either count all blanks or all non-graded items as zeros, in which case your grade's always going to look crappy, or count them as nothings, in which case, even if you haven't done a lot of assignments or quizzes that were due, your grade may look really good. I typically choose the latter, and I'll try to get in periodically and update, the non-graded items to zeros, because that's really the only way then that those would show up and give you an accurate reflection of your grade at any time. If you're concerned about your grade or whatever it is, just let me know. I'm happy to take a look at it, without calculating the whole thing, give you a pretty good idea of where you would be standing. Of course, on the classroom, we can check out the class list. We'll do that briefly. You guys can do the same thing, obviously. For the most part, I haven't had a lot of you in classes. I'm semi-retired now. I'm only teaching part-time, and so as I go down the list, I see there's quite a few of you that I've never had in classes before, so welcome. If you got any problems or questions, please let me know. If you're in town, feel free to stop in and say hi. It's always kind of nice sometimes to put a face with a name. As you can see, it's a good full class. Okay, not too big a deal, although boy, when we get to the projects, especially the second project, that's gonna correcting those is kind of slow and tedious for me, and so that may create some problems there, but that's okay. We'll, as a part-timer, and that's the only major projects, I guess, for this class that I'll have to correct. I'll get through that. So there's your class list, and you guys can, of course, talk to each other on that as you need. Again, the important part here is going to be the content, so let's go take a look at some of that. See, it's set up again as you get down here, even past probably week 3 or 4. The dates are maybe not accurate. So if you're really aggressive and want to work ahead, don't work that far ahead, or let me know if you're gonna, so I can get in and get the dates updated or whatever. I guess if you're ahead, it probably doesn't matter though what the dates may be. Um, you'll see week one. We'll come and take a look at that. Yeah, I should start at the top. I'm sorry. The full table of contents, of course, is listed, and you can scroll down everything there as you want to. I do have the syllabus shown in here, and we'll take a look at that. And I also have a link then to the textbook website. I believe that as you go along, there are some. I was going to say there's some data sets that you might download, but I don't think so, because I think I've actually downloaded all the data sets for you in terms of the assignments that you're going to have. A lot of those assignments, most of those assignments are quantitative, so they'll be done in Excel. And let's take a look at the syllabus so we can discuss that, because I want to make sure everybody's clear on that. It seems like I get some objections sometimes. So okay, let me make that bigger if I can. I don't know if I got to move that. Yeah, there we go. So again, it's a BFIN 322 spring semester online. You can read through all this stuff. The prereqs are accounting 1 and 2, or 201 and 202. You'll find that the first chapter or two that we do in finance are going to be kind of refreshers for those accounting courses. So we kind of break in nice and easy. There's not a ton of work that you have to do. There aren't any quantitative problems even due for chapter 1. I don't even think there is for chapter 2. Instead, you'll have some quizzes to do, and I think that's it. And then about week 2, when we get into chapter 3, though, it'll start to get a little bit more intense, and we'll start to do a little bit more the quantitative types of things. Recommended, I say on here, is a Texas Instruments BA2 Plus, and they may be up to a BA3 now. I'm not sure. Most of you, you don't have to get this. Absolutely, we're going to, and I'll show you how to do everything in Excel. Excel is free for all students. You can download it through the MSUN website, and free to use. You need it. It's absolutely required for this class. Okay, so make sure that you have that. Make sure that you have that downloaded. If you're not extremely experienced or not quite experienced with Excel, go get some help. Okay, because we're going to rely on Excel heavily in this class to do a lot of this stuff. I can tell you from a business standpoint, in the banking world, my previous life, I was a banker. Excel and spreadsheets are absolutely vital, used all the time, extremely important. We're just going to touch the use of Excel. There's so many things that you can do in Excel. We use it for stats. It gets to be even more intense there. So many things you can do in Excel. So get it, mess around with it, get so you kind of know it. And if you have some problems, let me know. I'll try to slow down occasionally if I need to go over some of those things. I often say 15 years ago when I first I started teaching up here, about 20-some years ago, but say 15 years ago, students would come to class and they would show me how to do things in Excel because they were well versed in that. It was something that they'd learned in high school and used at home or whatever. And now sometimes I say Excel and I get the deer in the headlights look from students, because it's no longer really taught in high school. From everything I understand, people have gone to, they're using the tablets and the Google things or whatever, and so they're not getting into the use of Excel. But in the business world, Excel is still a champion, and so plan to use that for sure. You guys can read through the course objectives and all that. I'm not going to belabor that. So here we go. This is important. Unless otherwise noted, all homework will be completed using Excel, and you will show all work. Okay, I will discount heavily if you're not showing your work properly. That's number one. Number two is, please do your own work. Okay, not just please, do your own work. Let's put it that way. Excel also gives me some kind of cool tools. I can check, see if people are sharing work, see if people are doing their own. Usually I can tell. I don't even need Excel. Usually I can kind of tell if people are sharing work. So don't do that. Okay, do your own work. This stuff's extremely important. It's stuff that you should use in your career. I've been out of banking for a long time. I still use a lot of the things from finance in my everyday life, partly because I know how to do it, partly because I kind of enjoy doing it, but lastly and most importantly, because it helps me make good decisions about my own finances, personal finances too. So, yeah, just plan on learning this stuff, enjoying it, getting to know it. It's important stuff that you're going to need, and that will help you again as much personally as anything. Something as simple as, geez, I want to buy a house. I want to know what my payments are. Guess what? When we're done with this class, you're going to know how to calculate payments, upside down, frontwards, and backwards, and every which way. Okay. COVID shouldn't have any effect on this class since we're an online course. So even if things were to get haywire, we would probably continue on, I'm guessing, as normal. So grading, everybody's concerned about the grading, so we're going to have quizzes, assignments. Probably won't have discussions unless I find some reason to put those in there. Mainly, you're going to have quizzes and assignments almost for every chapter. Not quite for every chapter, but for the most part, it would be for about every chapter. And those count for 40% of your grade, so plan on doing those. Get them in on time. I provide videos for all the problems, making them, should make them a little bit easier to complete, I would hope. Then we're going to have 2 projects. Okay, project 1 is going to be the creation of the basic financial documents that you would use to create a business plan. Okay, now this is just the financial portion of that. It's not going to be all the other stuff that goes with the business plan. You can get that in entrepreneurship, but it's going to be those basic financial documents. So what are we going to have? Well, we're going to have a startup. I call it a sources and uses. They call it a starting point, I think. You're going to have sales forecasts, right? You're going to have operating expenses. You're going to have payroll. You're going to have income statements. You're going to have balance sheets, etc. All the main statements that we would normally do. Fortunately, the template that we use, and I'll show that before I'm done today, the template that we use is something that was developed by the Service Corps of Retired Executives, or SCORE. It does a lot of the work for you. It's a nice template. I've enjoyed having it. I think the students do pretty well doing it once you get into it. If you plug away at it and make some sense of some things, it works out pretty good. The second project is going to be an analysis of a financial analysis of a publicly traded company, which of course we'll talk about more as we go along. But we live in a great time and place, I guess, where the financial data for all of our publicly traded companies that are, at least here in the U.S., are easily accessed, okay, for any of us, and it's truly wonderful that we can just call up if we're thinking about investing in Facebook. I can call up Facebook, take a look. I can go back, read their financial statements for the last 4, 5, 6 years, make a decision based on those financial statements, and maybe other information that I might find, say, in their annual reports. So yeah, it's great information. We have access to it, and that's what we're going to try to do is, finance is taking data that has been developed by accountants primarily and put into a format then, and as finance people, we want to interpret that data. As bankers, we had to interpret that data and make decisions on, maybe making loans or not making loans, and decisions about running the bank itself too, based on the data that we had. And customers needed that data, especially small business people, farmers, ranchers, to make decisions about their own operations. It's extremely important. So that's what we're going to have. You know, we're going to have the data. We just got to take a look at it and kind of analyze it. So that's what Project 2 is going to be. And I break it down into a lot of components. I'll tell you the final papers are judged, or they're graded fairly harshly. Okay, it's important that you do well on those. But there's a lot of steps along the way that get graded. Okay, so I get some people that maybe get into some fear. If you do all the steps and do the things, you know, even if your final grade on the paper falls below your expectations, you probably still do okay in the class. So, and we'll maybe take a look at that too. Let's go take a look at that Project 1 and those templates. See if I can find those here quickly. Oh, I gotta go do the hard way here. We'll take a look at this. Sorry, I should have had this up and ready, but as you can see, we got the tabs down here. Okay. Please, if you want to, you know, these are posted, I think, about week 3 or 4. If you want to, go ahead and open them up. Please read the directions. There's one thing that's really simple, that a lot of these cells might be locked and that you can't change them. But if you absolutely need to change them, you simply unlock it using the 1, 2, 3, 4 is the code to get into it. But as you go through it, you know, there's the starting point. You can click through these. I won't spend a lot of time because we'll go over each of these individually. Like Project 2, this is going to be broken down into individual things. You know, this is going to be your first statement. You're going to get graded on that. You know, this will be the second one, and then, you know, ultimately we'll get the whole thing completed. We'll get down here to a balance sheet. Somewhere's along here. Again, this looks kind of daunting, all these blanks and whatnot, but you know, let me show you something. For example, on the balance sheet here, you see that there are no colored cells. These are all white. Okay, you'll see that too on the income statement. This income statement. Okay, what's that mean? That means that you won't put any of the numbers in here. Okay, these will all be those will all be created by the numbers that you've input back here in these cases. And so while these look daunting, they're not. They fill in a lot as you go through some of these first documents, and of course we'll go over those. Orange cells you can change, okay, and in many cases you will change, okay. Yellow cells, let me get to, I think, here. Gold, yellow, okay, these can be changed, but don't necessarily need to be changed, if that makes sense. Okay, so they've already input some things in there. And then white cells you shouldn't change at all. Okay, there's going to be 1 or 2 exceptions there that we'll go through, you know, as we get into it. So that's basically what Project 1's going to look like. So if you want to mess around with those, open them up, take a look at them. It's awesome. It's a great program. It's sweet. If somebody was thinking about starting a business, it's a great way to start with some financial projections and get going on that. So, okay, I'm not going to get a look at Project 2 yet. We'll do that as we go along. But oops, I didn't need to scroll all through that. So week 1, what do you got? Okay, there's a PowerPoint presentation. I might get on and create a little video for that. Okay, it's possible that I will. It'd be about the only lecture you're going to get for the semester. There might be some at the end of the semester I would throw into a little bit, but for the most part, what we're going to have on a week-to-week basis, let me get down to week 3, is probably a better demonstration of what's going on. So here we go, week 3, right? Okay, you've got the assignment and it's on an Excel spreadsheet already. This is where you'll drop it. This is the drop box for that assignment. You also have a quiz that's due. Okay, there's the due date for the assignments, January 27th. The due date for the quiz is also January 27th. Yeah, watch the times and whatnot. Okay, if you notice down below, okay, here are links for videos. These are ones I've previously recorded, so I didn't want to go through, or I shouldn't have to go through and re-record them all. The assignments stay the same, even if the numbers might change, and they might. Basically, the assignments are going to stay the same. So if you go to the Chapter 4 assignment and you click Download, it's going to bring up the Excel. Okay, So there it is. You'll notice that it's got separate tabs down here for each problem. Okay. And right now it just gives you a story problem kind of up here. And then you've got the space down below where you will complete the assignment. Okay. And once again, if you go back to here and you come down, okay, there's the 4-1 assignment. If you come here, I've created a video. Normally these are 3, 4, 5 minutes. They're relatively short, but to give you pretty much exact instructions on how to go ahead and complete the assignments. So students usually do pretty well as long as they get started early, so you don't push it, to the deadline, and follow the videos. Do it, it says in the videos, and for the most part, students will do pretty well. Okay. And that's going to be consistent probably from week to week after week. I don't know if I got any in week 2. Yeah, we'll probably have chapter 3 assignment. Yep. So in week 2, next week you'll start with chapter 3 assignment. Same thing, videos down here. Okay. Again, there might be a little bit of a lecture on chapter 2, something you could choose to listen to or not listen to. I guess that would be up to you. It would be relatively short if I do it. It just talks about some of the concepts and whatnot that we would go through. So, week to week, that's about it. Probably, let's see, week 3. Week 3, we're probably going to introduce, I don't know why, maybe I only have it in week 4. I should have it in week 3. Yeah, actually next week, probably week 2, we're going to introduce that project 1 then. Looks like I've got to get some stuff uploaded for that. But next week, we'll probably get talking about Project 1. What I want you to do now is think about a type of small business that you would like to use as the backdrop for your Project 1. Keep it simple. Okay, that's absolutely just keep it simple. Think of something that's relatively small, might be easy to get into, maybe doesn't take a lot of capital, etc. And I tell people this is extremely, using this template, it's extremely easy to scale it up later. So, maybe your goal is to have a mechanic shop, and maybe someday you want to have 6 bays and 8 people working for you, and on and on and on. That's great. But right now, let's just say we're going to work on it out of a rented garage, and again, keep it simple. It's just going to be you, etc. So, be a lot easier later on. You obviously have this. You can keep it. If you need to scale that up later on, it's very simple to do that. So, all right. So that's pretty much it for the description of the course and what we're going to be doing, the assignments and everything. You do have in week 1 this week, I think it's due Thursday, is a quiz for chapter 1. Quizzes are open book. I don't believe there's any time limit on them, so you can take your time. The idea for the quizzes is to do exactly that, get you to open up your book, look up the answers to the questions that are posed in there. Okay, so take your time with them, make sure you get all the answers correct. You should be able to do pretty well on the quizzes. Okay. If your internet goes down because we have a thunderstorm or something goofy like that, yeah, let me know. We're not going to get too, don't get your, don't get all upset. If something like that happens, we'll deal with it, and we've been through a lot of this before, so I am at least pretty understanding about those things. Okay. That said, I have talked long enough for now. I'm going to get this thing out there, and usually 20 minutes is about as long as I ever want to go. So you can see I've already gone over about 4 minutes. Once again, any questions, email me is the best way. You can certainly call me and leave messages. I'm not as great about checking my messages on my phone as I should be. I generally check my email every day, even on the weekends. At least once I'll check it in the morning or something. So, an email is generally a good way to get a hold of me. If we need to have a discussion, though, I'm more than happy to set up a time, have a phone call, or if you happen to be in town and you want to stop in and go over any of this, more than happy to do it. So, thanks. I look forward to the class, look forward to working with y'all, and we will talk to you again soon.